Welcome to Stoked, the podcast that helps adventure elopement photographers hit six figures and beyond in their businesses without hustling on social media. I'm your host, Megan McPhail, a former burnt-out emergency veterinarian that quit my hard-earned career to become an elopement photographer. Now I'm living a life I absolutely love, full of travel, adventure, and financial abundance, and I am hell-bent on helping you do the same. Are you ready to start booking out your calendar with dream couples in breathtaking locations and feeling genuinely stoked about your elopement photography business, life, and bank account? Then let's dive into this week's episode. Hey, it's your host, Megan McPhail, and today I have a special guest. Her name is Kristin Smith. She is a California elopement photographer. She's also a member of the Elopement Photographer Mastermind, and we're going to cover a very important topic today, which is all about the messy middle and how it sucks and how to get through it. Welcome, Kristin, to the podcast.
Hey.
Hey, I'm so happy to have you. So, why don't you tell us a little bit of your backstory as far as being a photographer?
Well, I came from the wedding world. I started in 2018, took a head dive into doing as many weddings as I can. And after doing a ton of weddings, good ones, bad ones, I realized it wasn't filling my cup as much as being self-employed should. So I found Megan and I have been pivoting to elopements, and it's been the best decision that I have made for my business and for me as a person because it just fits with me more. I love hanging out with couples, but weddings just fly by so fast. You don't really get to spend any time with them and get to know who they are, and it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
Because they're so fast, but elopements are just so much more intimate and personable, and I'm all about that because I want to create an awesome experience for all of my couples.
Yeah, you get to kind of like control that more when you're an elopement photographer, which I really love because I feel like if I have more control, I don't know, things just go better.
They run way more smoothly. I mean,
Yeah.
weddings, they get so off schedule so fast, so easily, and then it's hard to get back on schedule. But with elopements, it's like I control the whole thing. So
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Yeah, totally. I love that. So you're booking 8-hour elopements now. How much have you booked in elopements since we started working together?
Well, I went from having nothing on my calendar for 2025. I take that back. I have one wedding that I'm doing next week, but other than that, I had nothing. And now I'm almost up to 10 elopements for this year.
That's
And I'm
amazing.
still having inquiries come in. In fact, I got one yesterday, I got another one today. So things are definitely moving as they should as a business.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you're booking them at like $5, $6, $7,000, right?
5 for 8 hours right now, and then 12 hours is 775. And I do have one 12-hour for October for Yosemite, which is perfect because they need 12 hours.
I love that. So these are the wins, right? But the messy middle is where things kind of suck. So we need to break it down and explain to the people what it is and how you get past it so that you can be like Kristin and start, getting more consistent inquiries and bookings at higher prices with your ideal couples. So a few months ago, you kind of like had a ton of bills coming up. What was going on again? I think like something with a septic tank or
Oh,
some kind of home thing.
it was great. Our septic tank needed work. All of our property taxes came in at once, and fire insurance, which is crazy, but it all just kind of happened at once. And it's not just a few $100 bills here and there. No, it's several $1,000 bills here and there. So it really was a punch to the gut and like, oh crap, like I need to do something. So that's when I reached out to you and started crying and was like, I've been doing all of these things. I've made my website. I've done it all, blogging, Pinterest, but nothing is working. So I can relate to those feelings.
Yeah, exactly. You came to me, which was a smart thing to do because what happens is photographers put in all this work, they rebrand, they redo their website, they have amazing copy and images on there. Maybe they've done some styled shoots, they've been blogging, they've been pinning, they've been posting on social media, they've been doing all of the things. And then They sit back and they wait for the inquiries and bookings to just roll in, and then they don't. Or they do, but it's very slow. And you got bills to pay and you got shit going down, and you're like, I need to make some money. I need these bookings to start rolling in. And that's when a lot of feelings start to pop up, right? So this is
Yeah.
totally normal. So you do all this work, you get to this messy middle part where you're not making the bookings that you rightly deserve, right? So describe what those feelings are that you were feeling when you reached out to me.
Oh, it was a major case of imposter syndrome. And, you second guess yourself. Should I really be doing this? I had a brief thought of maybe I should go back to the veterinary world and get a job that's stable where I could be comfortable. And I think that's part of it is learning how to be comfortable when it's uncomfortable. And
Yeah.
that was a big thing for me because I'm the type of person who wants to know what's coming, when it's coming, try to control as much of an outcome as I can. And then it all kind of, stems from perfectionism, which is another topic, but they all kind of create this mind chatter in your head to stop and try to talk you out of it when you got to shut that noise off and move past it and just keep pushing forward because it feels right in your heart that that's what you want to do. And they always say you could do whatever it is that you want to do, right? You just got to do it.
Yeah. But this is when you start doubting yourself because it's also kind of like it's not the beginning anymore. Maybe you can relate to this, but like when you join the mastermind, it's exciting, right? Like it's terrifying, but it's also exciting. And you've got all this energy and you're like, oh, I'm doing this fun thing, this exciting thing. It aligns with my values and my personality, and I can't wait. And then that excitement kind of dies down. And then you're like, oh, I did all this work and now I'm comparing myself to other people. Now
Oh
I am
gosh, yes.
second guessing all my decisions. Yeah.
Yes, yes. It's like somebody needs to write a step-by-step book of the feelings that you're going to go through
Yeah.
for this because it's all the same. And then this is when everybody quits. It crossed my mind, but then I'm like, no, shut up, brain. Like,
Yeah.
but then a lot of people follow it and they quit and then they go back to second shooting full time or whatever it is that they want to do.
Or they start booking weddings because that seems safe to them, or they discount their prices, or they start booking kind of non-ideal, maybe like red flag clients just to get some money in the door. So there's a lot of things that your brain can kind of talk you into that's really not the best for you or your business during this messy middle time. And you discounted your prices too, didn't you?
I did for a hot second until my husband was like, "What are you doing discounting your prices?" And I'm
Yeah,
like,
because
"I
you
don't
had
know."
already bought or you had booked like a $7,500 elopement. You
Yep.
just weren't booking as many as you wanted to. So I remember when you reached out to me, you were vulnerable, which is great because I think a lot of people, and the reason why I want to talk about the messy middle more is because I think a lot of people feel a lot of shame during this part. And so they don't always reach out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so there's just like a lot of negative feelings, a lot of thinking about, maybe the market's too saturated. Maybe I need to go back to my vet job. Maybe, I'm just not cut out for this and I suck. But you came to me and I looked at your numbers and you had been booking basically an elopement every other month, which was awesome, but not enough to pay these bills and fill your calendar. But the cool thing was when we did look at your numbers and kind of took your feelings out of it, your sales funnel was converting exactly as it should.
That was eye-opening for me, honestly.
Yeah,
Like,
okay.
yeah, it really was because when said, your sales funnel is working, that's what gave me the confidence. Okay, maybe I do need to, up my advertising spend because I was only getting 300 website visitors and that's not enough to sustain anything,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, you're like sprinkling some ad money out there, but not really enough to really because it's scary. Running ads is scary. And this is the part that also sucks because you don't have a bunch of organic traffic coming in and you don't want to post 5 reels a day or whatever ridiculous thing you would maybe have to do to get bookings through Instagram.
Oh, hell
So
no, I
like,
don't want to do that.
yeah,
Yeah. It's too much
yeah,
work.
yeah, you have a life, you have dogs, kids, chickens, all that stuff, you know? So really the only way to get people to your website is through Google Ads. And I remember kind of talking you through, okay, your sales funnel is working. If we increase your ad budget, you should be getting the inquiries and the bookings that you want. And then we had to kind of talk through that because that was very scary for you.
It was, when you're 18 years old and you get 2 credit cards and max them out at first and you're like, whatever, it's kind of scary. So, but I'm way better with money and money management now. But now I have the confidence to know, okay, advertising is the main money spend for businesses is advertising. You have to advertise. And then all these people that are like, I didn't pay any money for advertising. You just want to punch them in the face sometimes. You watch stuff like Shark Tank and they're like, I didn't pay any money for advertising. But the difference is we have a service, not a product.
Yeah.
So we have to advertise. Then you have to pay to play. Like that was the hardest thing for me to learn was to pay to play, and sprinkling money on Facebook for ads at $2 a day is not going to get you anywhere. Like it never will.
Yeah, totally.
I know a lot of people that do it.
I know. And maybe they get some wins every once in a while, but I want something that is predictable and consistent and like supported by data. So that's really, I remember I walked you through your numbers. And then the scariest thing I think was the fact that you had all these bills coming up and I was asking you to pay more money a day towards your ads.
I thought that was crazy.
Yeah.
But then I saw, I'm like, I got income coming in, so it'll be okay. And it's been okay. But that was really scary to up that ad spend per day. But now I'm really seeing results. Now I'm really getting inquiries. I think my sales funnel is actually converting better than what your numbers are. So
Yeah.
that's really good. And I'm really, really happy with that. And I really appreciate you being there to help because I honestly didn't want to reach out. My husband's like, you should reach out. You're in a support group. That's what they're for. And so I did. And now here we are talking about the messy middle because we all go through it.
Yeah. So now you're on the upswing. You've gotten through the messy middle. Your sales funnel's converting. You're booking. I think you got like $19,000 worth of bookings last month, which is
I did.
amazing. Yeah, which is so cool. And you're still getting inquiries coming in this month. And also, let's give a shout out to your husband, who, when you talk to him about
Yeah.
increasing the ad spend, and he was like, "This makes perfect sense. You should do it." I just have to give him a little round of applause because,
Shout out to him. Yes.
yeah,
I
because
mean,
he
he's a
was like
math
so
guy.
supportive. Yeah. He was like, "This makes sense."
It does. And you posted all those numbers in the Slack group of, the formula basically of what you should be doing. He's like, let me see that formula and just like understands it. And I'm just like, huh? And he then explains it to me in Kristen terms, is what I call it,
Hmm.
just to make it more simple. But he's always told me from the beginning, like advertising, advertising, advertising. That's what businesses spend. Their money goes back into advertising. It makes sense, especially when you're coming from nothing.
Yeah, especially when you like there's just literally no other way for people to find out you exist, you know? So that's huge. And now you're booking in Lake Tahoe and Yosemite, which is amazing because those are supposedly quote unquote saturated markets that are hard to get into. And here you are booking five to $7,000 elopements in there. So what do you think would have happened if we didn't have that whole kind of like discussion about money trauma and your numbers and all that kind of stuff? Like if you didn't reach out to me, what do you think you would have done?
I would probably still be chasing my tail and beating my head against a wall, to be perfectly honest.
Mhm.
I probably would have backed my ad spend down. Probably would have looked into spending thousands of dollars to have somebody do my website because maybe my website isn't good enough because it's not fancy enough. I mean, these
Yeah.
were all things that were going through my head. I'm the type of person where I'm like, less is more. So if I have a clean website that flows, it makes sense, there's not a lot of flashy stuff going on, then people should stay. I know I have the work to prove it. I've been working so hard towards my photography and becoming a better photographer.
Yeah.
And when you get constant feedback from people that you're doing it right and you're amazing, and then you don't see results happen on the other end as fast as you'd like, it makes it hard. But then I remember going back to my place and thinking about all those people that I made them happy. So I'm like, okay, I am doing something right. So I need to stick with it and not get scared and not go hide in a corner and find something that's comfortable again.
Yeah, totally. I'm really glad you didn't do that because we both know that going back to veterinary medicine is not the answer.
No, it's so ridiculous.
You guys should have seen Kristen's face just now. It's
Thank
like,
God you don't share the video.
I know, right?
It's very
So,
stressful.
yeah, yeah. So I'm really proud you came to me, and I'm really proud that you listened to what I had to say and actually did it and are seeing the results. And what we call this a lot of times in the messy middle is troubleshooting. So I really try not to feed off of the members and other photographers' feelings, because what I've found is that, especially when you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself and you're spending money on ads and you're spending money on the mastermind or other education or whatever, there's a lot of pressure to start getting bookings really quickly. So people will come to me with a whole host of emotions and I kind of have to talk them off the ledge. And then I also have to get through those feelings and be like, these are valid feelings, but also we need to look at your numbers because I can't base my recommendations on how you're feeling, because if that were the case, it would be doomsday like many times during this messy middle.
Definitely.
Yeah. So the troubleshooting thing, you mentioned to me before that kind of like blew your mind, this whole concept of troubleshooting.
It did because I never even thought to troubleshoot my business until I signed up for the mastermind. And I never kept track of numbers or any of that stuff. Like all the stuff that you're saying photographers should be doing, I wasn't doing at all. So I had no idea what's going on with the back end of my business. I was just, doom scrolling on Instagram and doing all that crap that we do when we get lost in our heads. So yeah, I'm glad I stuck with it,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah. And now you're on the upswing. So what would you tell other photographers that are in the messy middle? And as you know, there's a lot of photographers in the messy middle right now inside the Elopement Photographer Mastermind. We just had a group coaching call where everyone was like, I'm in the messy middle. And it
That's
was
why I
like,
reached out to you and I'm like, we should do
yeah,
a podcast.
yeah. And Kristen's like, I was there, but now I'm kind of out of it. So what would be your advice? Because I know all the advice I normally give people, but what would be your advice to all the photographers in the messy middle?
Stick with it. Don't let your emotions consume you because they will drown you. You have to stay focused and you need to remember in your heart why you're doing this. I mean, when you stick with those core things, it'll help you keep pushing forward. I don't recommend doom scrolling on Instagram and looking at so and so photographer and being nosy and seeing what they're doing. I mean, it's cool to go and check out people's work. I do it all the time because I want
Hmm.
to see what people are doing, but comparing yourself to others like, "Oh, she's doing better than me," but, and then kind of having negative feelings about what their work is and that kind of, I mean, I'm guilty of it. I'm,
Oh, yeah.
we put ourselves in such crappy places sometimes just in our head to where it's just all ego. The ego wants to be liked constantly. So
Yeah.
it makes it hard. But I would say stick with it and don't let the mind chatter and all that negative noise in your head steer you away from what you really want to do.
Yeah, I think that's probably the most important thing is like your brain's going to be telling you all this stuff and none of it's true.
Yeah, and I'll touch on this quickly, but I used to skydive, so the mind chatter was through the roof. You're not supposed to jump out of an airplane, and it's going to tell you that in your head constantly, but you want to, it's safe, and it's awesome on the other side of that fear. I learned that from doing that. And this is kind of the same, not as extreme, but the emotions are definitely the same. Like there's so much more freedom on the other side of fear. And sometimes you just have to push through and do it and see what happens. Just like I did with the ad spend. I'm like, okay, this will be a test and we'll see what happens, right? And now here we are, and I'm like, holy shit, I'm getting inquiries like several per week. So That's awesome. I never would have known if I just stayed in my comfort zone. Like right now, I'm on here talking about the messy middle. It's just totally out of my comfort zone.
Yay. I love that.
But after seeing so many people on that call, they're just having the same struggles that I would. I even said to my husband, I'm like, oh my God, everybody on this call is literally having the same struggles that I was going through back in March. And I'm not an educator by the stretch of the imagination, but I want to provide my experience so other people can learn from it and don't quit. If you love it, don't quit.
Yes, exactly. The only reason it's not gonna work out is if you quit. That's really the only reason that anything in life doesn't work is because we give up on it, because we give in to those voices in our head that are telling us lies, essentially, to get us back into our comfort zone.
It wants to go the easier way.
Mhm.
The easy way out, always, right? It's like, no, we're
Yeah.
going to go the hard way. There's more rewards going the harder way than the easy way, in my opinion.
Yes, and I think it was April that asked me in the Slack group. She was like, "How, Megan, have you done all these things? You know, like you've launched like a podcast and you've done this, you've done that, and like how do you have the courage to do all that stuff?" And really, it is like a muscle that you can flex over time. And getting through this messy middle part, a lot of people, even on the last call, they asked, how long does the messy middle last? And for some people, they can get through it really quickly. For other people, they have so many limiting beliefs, it takes a little bit longer. But really, the biggest thing is flexing that muscle that gets you comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's huge. And the fact that you are a skydiver makes so much sense now.
It's been a
Because,
while,
yeah,
but
but
yeah.
it's May right now, and you literally were freaking out in like February or March. Yeah, we got over this pretty quickly, like talking about all this stuff. You instituted the changes quickly, you saw results quickly. So it can all change very quickly. But for some people, there's just more work and more lessons that need to be done, kind of from a mindset perspective, not even from a strategy perspective. So, yeah, the fact that you jumped out of airplanes makes sense that you would be like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to test it out. I'm going to see how it goes. It's scary AF, but it's not like I'm going to die or anything. So let's do it.
Exactly. That's kind of where my head was at with all of it. And that's just kind of how I get through things now. It's like, well, if I could do this, I could do this. Because I never in a million years thought I would ever jump out of an airplane. No way.
Yeah. Do you feel like now that you've gone through your messy middle stage that you'll be able to handle challenges a little bit more easily when they pop up in your business in the future?
I think so because now I know not to get emotional, troubleshoot first before getting emotional. And part of it is also understanding that there is an ebb and flow to everything. There'll be a time where the inquiries are just coming in, and then there'll be a time where it's just kind of slowed down. And in the times where it's slower, I have learned that I just have to trust the process. I'm so sick of hearing people say that. But it's
Yeah.
true. But it's true. You have to trust the process in order to learn from it, really. Otherwise, you're just going to be stuck in this rut of being negative and you'll never get out. And part of it is coming up with solutions too to help get you out.
Yeah, it's about trusting the process and also kind of like relinquishing the things that you can't control, but then focusing on the things that you can control. And like sometimes like a pivot is necessary. Sometimes it's like just the seasonality. And sometimes we try to like strong arm our business so much when really we just need to be like, I got this. The numbers support that I'm going to be just fine.
Exactly. Part of that is having confidence in yourself. And
Mhm.
having confidence in yourself is what's going to help you get through that messy middle and just keep pushing forward.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm so glad that you joined me on the podcast today to talk about your experience with the messy middle, to kind of give some inspiration to others, and for us to get like this term out there so people can recognize when they're in it and that it's like when you're going to want to quit, but like that's when you should keep pushing. So, yeah, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Where can people find you, like your website and your Instagram?
My website is just kristinsmithphotography.com. And you could just search Kristin Smith Photography on Instagram and I'll come up.
Perfect. Do you have any other last thoughts you want to share with anybody?
I appreciate you having me on your podcast. This was fun. just keep pushing forward. Don't let that outside noise slow you down, because if you feel like you're on the right track and elopements fill your cup like they do mine, then you just keep pushing forward, because nothing else will matter, because you want it so bad. So you'll do it. That's just how it goes.
I love that. Yay. Yeah. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, Kristin, for being here, and we will see you next week. Thanks so much for joining us on this week's episode of Stoked. If you enjoyed the show and you'd like to help support the podcast, please subscribe, leave a review, and tell a friend. If you're looking for more inspiring elopement photography content, check us out on Instagram at Megan McPhail. And if you'd like to hear more about my business coaching and how I can personally help you hit six figures as an elopement photographer, then check out my website at www.meganmcphail.com.